What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So earlier this week, we had talked about the possibility of a next-generation Switch system, mostly because a Kickstarter had randomly named it as a target years down the line. So I was like, okay, I got a Kickstarter, sure. But what if NVIDIA mentioned something about a next-generation system, a next-generation console, and next-generation Switch? That's actually been found online, and we're going to go over that today and the possible direction, which is kind of an interesting way to go about next generation. Nintendo and NVIDIA really do go this route. Also, we just got done that Microsoft event with the Halo Infinite gameplay and the big Fable reveal at the end, and while we're heading into August in a year 2020 that feels never-ending, we do expect some new events, again, from Microsoft and Sony, and it looks like Phil Spencer pretty much confirmed that they will be doing a couple of things in the month coming up. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit the like button, helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with Gears Tactics, mostly because it's been out on PC for a little while now, but it hasn't found its way to console yet. And it looks like, fortunately, if you've been waiting, you won't have to wait too much longer, as it has been rated by the ESRB for the Xbox One, Xbox One X, all of that great news there. I played it on PC because, of course, it's part of Xbox, the Game Pass Ultimate package. So I have the PC Game Pass and the Xbox Game Pass, and I downloaded it on there. Played it for a good bit, but I think something else came out around that time, and I kind of jumped to that. I had to go back and look exactly which game that was, but I was thinking about going back to it, and to see it now being rated by the ESRB is good news, because usually when something gets rated by the ESRB, it's pretty much ready to go on store shelves, or in this case, it's ready to drop onto Game Pass. That could even be an announcement during maybe an August event or something coming up that this will be coming out soon. They could even shadow drop it, right? Because their big primary focus, of course, is Game Pass. Sure, it'll go on store shelves at some point, but obviously the faster they can get it there and give you a reason to subscribe, the better. Good news, though, for anyone waiting, I would say it's probably not too far off. Also, good news for anyone who's been waiting for Phantasy Star Online 2 to hit Steam. It's going to be there August 5th. This is great. Microsoft has been pretty good. I know they were mostly working with Sega to bring it over, but I mean, they could have probably blocked it with some sort of exclusivity and kept it on like Windows Store and all of that, or even on the Xbox. But it looks like August 5th, you'll be able to pick up Phantasy Star Online 2 on Steam. And here's where things get really fun. It looks like they're going to have some crossover with Half-Life. Yeah, and you can see a couple of different things. Here's Gordon Freeman, right? And a few other little accessories that you can get. Pretty cool. And it goes a little further. There will be cross-play and cross-progression. So you can move between, it seems, all different systems that are currently available. They say systems currently available. I'm curious how much further they will go with Phantasy Star Online 2, because in Japan, it is streamed to the Switch. So we'll see there. I believe it's also streamed to the Vita. I don't think they'll do a Vita release. That'd be pretty funny, right? Wouldn't it? But I could see them at least moving it to the PlayStation 4. That's possible. I do think Phantasy Star Online 2 could go to Switch and they just say, hey, you know what? You just get a big SD card. What do you want us to do about it? It's a big game, right? But good to see for anyone who was waiting for it to show up on Steam. August 5th, just about a week away. Oh, and here was a bit of a surprise. I certainly didn't see this one coming. Do you remember Sekiro? Yeah, it was what, Game of the Year last year, Sekiro? Well, it's getting an update, and it looks like a pretty good one, too. You can see this here that does outline it pretty well. October 29th, so about 3 months from now. Okay, sure. From Software is releasing a free update for all players that will introduce several new features to the game. These include the ability to rematch bosses, tackle boss gauntlets. That sounds pretty difficult. It's already pretty hard with some of those bosses, but you stack them together. That could be quite challenging. And then perform player movement recordings and more. I like that idea, performing player movement recordings. You record yourself, how you fight and defeat certain bosses. That's pretty cool. It's good to see an update like this. I mean, it's free October 29th. We were all worried about like all kinds of microtransactions and stuff in it from Activision covering this alongside of FromSoft, but they said, hey, we've sold 5 million copies of Sekiro. It's very successful for them, won a bunch of awards, so why not? Give them a pretty sizable free update. It was out of left field, but it was pretty good to see. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with the possibility of a next-gen Switch, or at least a feature for a next-gen Switch, kind of being outed here by a job listing on LinkedIn. Now, this this was discovered online on YouTube pretty recently by DocTrey81, who posted an entire video showcasing this job listing and pointing out a few interesting lines that seem to talk about a console of some kind. Now, as you can see, this is for a senior embedded graphics engineer. It says, we are now hiring a senior embedded software engineer for the Tegra Solutions from engineering team to work on next generation graphics and AI technologies for game consoles and AI edge devices. And then it'll also say what you'll be doing: work on solutions to use artificial intelligence and graphic technologies like NVIDIA's DLSS 2.0, take part in performance optimization of various SW components of the Tegra graphics and system software stack. Okay, so DLSS, Deep Learning Super Sampling. We're on 2.0 now. It was released fairly recently. It's been used in Control. Death Stranding has a phenomenal showcase for this. It really is impressive what you can get. Think of the performance benefits from having a lower resolution game or image going on at the time, right? Like we'll drop resolution if you have a video card that's not quite there. You'll drop the resolution down until that number gets to where you want it to be for frame rate. You're like, I want 60. I'm dropping to 1080p, right? You were at 1440p, it's like, nah, I'm gonna drop down. And then you're getting like 70 or so and you're capping your 60 hertz monitor or whatnot. But think about if you could have that 1080p image quality, but then it's upscaled using AI up to 4K. We've seen them showcase this with like 540p. There's a fascinating video of NVIDIA showcasing this. Here's the biggest problem though right now. You need an RTX card with tensor cores. It pretty much relies on those and then deep learning, as they say, to take an image, reconstruct it, and think about something with, we've seen this, of course, with Sony, how they use like their checkerboard upscaling, and for the most part, people were pretty happy with that. This is like next level on top of that. Now, to hear them talk about game consoles, I mean, what do they work on? What's the system that NVIDIA really works with right now? I guess they have their Shield TV that they've already kind of moved AI upscaling to. It's very, very limited right now. It's not like 2.0 where it's doing all kinds of wild stuff in games. It's mostly for video playback from what I've seen. But they work on the Switch. That's their system with Nintendo right now. Now, could NVIDIA have some crazy system in the background that none of us know about and it's this wild partnership? I guess. Is it likely? No, this is probably them talking about the Switch successor at some point using DLSS 2.0. It's something we've speculated a lot, very heavily about, because it only makes sense. Now, could they have a custom chip set up? Okay, this is more speculation. Could they have a custom chip set up for a Switch revision before this current generation is over? And could they add some tensor cores in there to then implement this? And this could be kind of looking towards that. It's possible, but if they're going to do a Switch revision, it would probably have to be next year. Like that. If you're not going to do it next year, you might as well just wait till next generation, because then what's the point of releasing a revision right up against the next generation, right? You feel like you want at least a couple of buffer years in there so that people who buy the revision don't feel like they were burned and now they got to buy the next generation system like a year after or the same year. DLSS 2.0 makes a ton of sense for a next generation Switch system, and I'd be shocked if they didn't use it at this point. This job listing is very early on, right? Obviously, they're hiring probably to prepare for that, to get everything going, to have DLSS 2.0 implemented in a Tegra chip, which the last one that I think I've seen was Xavier, and that used Volta, which already had tensor cores equipped. So they probably will just do a customized chip, because no Tegra that I've seen would be able to do this currently in a consumer product like an NVIDIA Shield or a handheld device that runs off a battery like a Switch. But a very interesting find by DocTrey, and we'll see if anything else pops up as we head throughout the next couple of years. Obviously, the current Switch still has quite a bit of life left in it, I would say, with some of the releases coming up. But it's always interesting to speculate about what we could get going forward with the next Switch. Also, think about this. We assume it's going to be backwards compatible, so does that mean that DLSS 2.0 could be used with something like Breath of the Wild being upscaled to 4K? That would look pretty ridiculous. Next up, let's talk about August and Xbox, because we were assuming, as they have said themselves, that every month they'll do some sort of Xbox event. They kind of messed that up in June. They like forgot about that for the most part, but we're starting back up in July. So we expect something else from them in August, as it sounds like Sony is kind of getting ready to do some, we'll say some big announcements coming up here pretty soon. The rumor for Sony is next week. Don't know if that'll happen, but that is the current rumor. Sony's definitely going to have something again before the PlayStation 5 launch. Obviously, they got to tell us the price, right? But for Microsoft, it does look like they are getting ready for something in August, as well as Phil Spencer had talked to iJustine saying, "I'm encouraged to be able to talk more about Microsoft's Xbox plans. Should be August. I think August will have more to say." That was like the big quote that was going around. Okay, it does look like Microsoft is going to have some sort of Xbox event. I think they'll probably have some sort of streamed event of some kind once again. I don't know if it's going to be as big as this most recent one. I would like to see them bring the initiative out, show off their game, at least an early concept. This is what we're doing, and then show Lockhart, and then hit us with the price. That's a pretty straightforward, I think, presentation. Sony could go a bit further in August, though, and there are rumors of like the next God of War, right? Like just wild stuff. It'd be tough to compete with that unless the initiative really is working on some groundbreaking game that showcases what the Series X can do, because that's kind of what we're still wondering. What can this system do? Because all you've shown us are CGI cutscenes that are like Fable, where just you see a fairy get eaten by like a frog, and then it looks up at the town, and it's like, you should have shown like a character or walking through it or something else, right? The best game they have right now in terms of visuals is Forza, so we'll see. But August, yes, we'll have probably 2 more big events. The big wild card now, though, as I think most of us are thinking, is Nintendo. Like, we're pretty locked in. Sony, Microsoft going at it right now with different events, but like Nintendo's just kind of hiding over in the corner. I don't know. Maybe they'll do something as well. I feel like they have to. Otherwise, they're going to go into the holidays pretty soon with like nothing. Next up, let's talk about the Avengers game. That, of course, coming from Square Enix, and that hasn't looked the greatest so far. I mean, okay, so it looks like kind of the Avengers. That's the biggest thing going around right now. The character models and all this seem off, right, when we look at them. One of the jokes is that it looks like they're stunt doubles. I can see that. But the big thing here is we will get to play it before it comes out, thankfully, because I have my concerns, but the best way they can alleviate that is by letting us play the game. It looks like we'll be getting to do that pretty soon, as well, as they posted this up on the PlayStation blog, giving us this idea that August 7th, if you have pre-ordered the game, you'll be able to play it on the weekend of August 7th to the 9th. So that's good news. I haven't pre-ordered the game. I'll wait for one of the open betas, which will start August 14th, and you can preload on the 13th, and then they'll have another beta period where it'll be August 21st, so that will be preloaded August 20th. Okay, now I'm glad we'll get to try this game out, but so far everything I've seen feels uninspired, and then they try to explain all kinds of stuff they'll also be doing alongside of it, and it seems like it's all over the place right now. So if they can give us a very focused, fun, and interesting kind of beta period here where we have different missions maybe to go on, different parts of the world to explore, and of course they can test their network because this is going to be an online game, and if it comes out day one and it's crashing and it's disconnecting, then you've pretty much just ruined the experience for a first impression for anyone who's bought it. But good news there, we'll get to try it out. I'm sure most of us on the podcast will try it, and then we'll talk about it quite a bit on the Spawncast and our different opinions on it. And hopefully, I'm hoping the game's good, because the Avengers, obviously, it's an IP that a lot of people really, really like. And, well, I saw what they did with Hawkeye, and sure, okay, so here we go. Look for this one August 7th, especially if you've pre-ordered, you're going to want to get in first thing. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about Konami. Not Konami making a game. I want to point this out to people because Konami has Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear. You think they do something with that? Nope, they're making PCs. I'm not even kidding. Check this out. This is Ares Spear. I think that's how you pronounce these. And these are just custom esports branded or geared towards esports in some way. The problem right now is no one really seems that excited for them. This appears to be something they are selling in Japan. They have a couple of different models. They have the Ares Spear C700 Plus for 338,800 yen. That, you're right, that does come out to over $3,000. Then we have the C700, that's just over $3,000 as well. And then the C300 for $1,760. I'm gonna give you the specs for the C700 Plus, okay? i7-9700 processor, an RTX 2070 Super, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, 512 gigabyte SSD, that appears to be a PCIe NVMe M2, and then 1 terabyte SATA hard drive. And as you can kind of add that up in your head as we go along, yes, these are badly overpriced. Now, it appears that they are at least backing up their price by saying, oh, the custom design is worth quite a bit. And based on what people are saying online, specifically in Japan, they don't even like the design. So I don't even know. I don't know what Konami's doing here. This is so strange, right? Look, I at least understand the pachinko machines and all that makes them a ton of money. They've shown on their balance sheets. Okay, I get that. But like, what is this? Like, Konami, what are you doing? Like, go do something with Metal Gear, okay? Anything. Well, okay, don't do anything. We've seen Metal Gear survive, and at least they attempted it. But like, go get a developer who can really make a Metal Gear Solid game. I know Kojima's gone and all of that, but just do anything but like this. I don't know. Let me know what you think about these down below, specifically with the specs, because to me, they seem wildly overpriced for what you get. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Jin saying, I just noticed that his background is the PS3 cross media bar background, and I'm watching this guy's vid often for gaming news. So first of all, we'll be keeping the cross media bar background alive for quite a while, right? I had been playing the PlayStation 3 backwards compatible model that I got recently, right? We did a video on that. I've been playing some PS2 games, some of the wrestling games. They're a lot of fun, but I like that cross-media bar. I even saw it on that, of course, the recent PS2 that we got, right? The PSX. And they used it there as well on the PSP, and then they just kind of dropped it. And I don't really like the Vita's OS. Maybe that's just me. I'm okay with the PlayStation 4 because technically it's kind of like a evolution of the cross-media bar, but I liked it a lot, so we're gonna keep the nostalgia going here, I guess. Also, it's purple and it's a wave, so it's like, it kind of all just works together, right? And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. Enjoyed this video, guys. Hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, where there's this discovery of NVIDIA hiring for someone to actually work on DLSS specifically for game consoles coming up. Don't really know too many game consoles outside of the one that they put out in China to play Wii games that are, being upscaled through AI. That could be something to see there. Also, what do you think about the Microsoft and Sony events that are being rumored now with Phil Spencer saying that they will have much more to say here going forward in the month of August? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.